Okay, so in this part I'm going to cover the creation of presets and profiles and kind of what they are. So here on the left hand side we can click on this add box, and this basically is where you browse to the exe for the game that you want to use Reshade with. So for me, I'm just going to come into Steam and just actually disable this preview pane and just come in and find Return to Castle Wolfenstein, and I'm going to choose the wolfsp.exe. Now you would hit open obviously, and then you would select OpenGL for this particular game, and then you would click on add, and that will create a profile for that game. Now on the right hand side here we have the preset area, and here I'm going to call this my Wolfenstein preset. You can call it whatever you like, it doesn't really matter. Just try and keep the characters kind of simple, you know, letters. And then you click on add when you're happy with the name, and what that does now is that adds a preset for the game. Now no effects are in that preset, but it just allows you to have one specifically for that game, so you can differentiate between them. So you can see here I have a couple in this list made for different games. So I'm going to click on my Wolfenstein profile, and if I come up to the pipeline here, you'll see there's no effects enabled on this particular one. So I'm going to toggle on levels, maybe some adaptive sharpen, do some curves, you know, whatever. This is just for kind of showing how it's done. And obviously you then have to, you know, specify the particular values that you want to use through the pipeline tabs at the top here. So most of these effects are SweetFX, so I'm just going to come in here and just turn up a couple of things. Maybe drop the curves down a little, and just change the formula, and then Technicolor, that's fine I think. Maybe just drop the strength down a little bit, and then what else is left? We have some levels. I'm just going to drop turn down the black point on that, and then when I'm happy with it, I'm going to hit apply. Now that doesn't save your profile per se. You have to come back out here, make sure that this one says the name of your preset in the top box, and then hit update. And now you'll also see that that name at the top of the top box has disappeared again. So if you come and click on it again and select it, that will load the application preset for you, and then you can come back to the pipeline and you can make edits. And this is kind of a finicky part about it. You have to make sure that you're doing it. So I'm going to launch Castle Wolfenstein here, just to kind of give you a better understanding of how it works in game. It's just in windowed mode, so I can kind of show you side by side. So I'm just going to load up a random save I have here, and we should see the effect kick in, and now here we are in Castle Wolfenstein. So if I come out here to where there's a bit of light, I can toggle on and off the kind of shader. It's not much of a difference here. This is a basic one we just made for this tutorial. So if we come back to the tab, this is a way I kind of show you a bit better. You'll see I have my Wolfenstein preset loaded, and now if I hit update, it disappears. So it's always good to make sure that you select it again and then make your edits, because you can either end up editing the wrong thing. So I'll turn on some depth of field here, and you can see it kind of blurs the near focus regions and the far focus regions of the camera. And you know, obviously, as I said, you can play around with these to your own heart's content. Maybe just a little vibrance, just to help boost the colors. Maybe a little more actually. I'll just go in there and tweak that. Just bump it up a little bit to whatever you're happy with, and that looks fine. So we come back to the pipeline, and now what you want to do is you want to hit on update. So now your preset has been updated. So if you click on my Wolfenstein again in the top box, it's just to make sure that yes, the changes have changed and vibrance is now enabled within the preset. And that's a good way of checking is by going back to the pipeline and seeing you know, a new effect that you added to the pipeline within the preset file. And you can also toggle on different ones by just clicking on the drop down menu, and it'll then apply any other presets that you might have made for, say, the same game, or for, you know, any other game. It doesn't really matter. It's cool, like, you know, if you wanted to play a particular game, you can just have a preset file. There's one I have from Tomb Raider, and these are all saved in a particular location, and each one has different effects obviously enabled on the pipeline. And you can come back and just make edits as you go to those, and you'll see they all have different kind of effects. But you mainly want to always focus on the one that you're working on at that time, make sure that you load it every time you want to make edits to it, because you can make edits and then hit apply and think it's saved, and you'll close the game, come back, and it won't be there. So I'm going to show you now basically where your presets and profiles are. So in your main download that you downloaded, there'll be these files, and in here inside the Reshade folder you'll see all these blue CFG files and a couple of other files. The most important one is that personal files, and if we come in here you'll see we have a profiles and a presets. Profiles are the game kind of exes that you select, and presets are obviously your user made or downloaded presets that you want to use on the right hand side there. So if we actually go into this folder, you'll see what I mean. Here are all the presets that I've made myself, including the default preset that has no effects applied, obviously. So if we come to my Wolfenstein preset, you'll see inside here is a series of files. Now all of these files are the shader files, and the specific effects that are enabled within each one. And then inside this lazy.net folder is the actual, the settings file that you would upload. I'll just bring it in from the other windows. You can see here there's the pipeline ordering effect for mediator, and if I just scroll down and say find maybe adaptive sharpen, and I'll show you that that's actually enabled within the file, and this lets us know that yes, this file contains the edits that we wanted from that particular preset. So you can see here it says use define sharpen, and it's set to 1 being on, 0 being off. Now you would have had to set them in the old days manually yourself, but obviously it's done now through the mediator. But this just kind of, if you wanted to upload that preset, you could copy all those files, maybe put them in an archive and add them as part of your preset so people could download it. And the process is pretty much the same for downloading ones from the internet. I'll cover that later, maybe in another step. And there's also the permanent push to application. So if you're totally happy with your preset and you don't ever really want to edit again, you're happy, you want it there for the next time you go to play the game, you can click on permanent push to application, and what that will do is kind of make a permanent link to the profile. So if I just click on the offline preview at the top there, we can say just pick a random JPEG, and this offline preview, oh, it's gone full screen. I'll just have to scale this back. It's kind of on 2 monitors. There's a little button at the bottom with some dots on it. I don't know if you can see it down there. I'll have to go full screen and then drag it out, I think. Yeah, there in the bottom right corner there's dots, and you just click on that and drag it. It's not really the greatest implementation yet, but I'm sure they'll get a little more kind of working better. So basically imagine this is your game. It's handy for offline edits that maybe don't want to launch a game, or you're too fucking lazy. You can just go in there, and as you can see, you can, when you're in the game, you can toggle on your various different effects. Now bear in mind a screenshot won't give the full depth of the effect, but it gives you a rough idea. It allows you to play around with different effects, especially maybe if a game is crashing on you, or something's not working right. You can at least see if you can get the basics of the tool working within the offline preview area. So as you can see, I'm just toggling on and off various different things and seeing how they look. You can also, if you see I hover over that, it says press L plus the Reshade screenshot key, which is print screen, and that will create a lookup table. And then if you enabled the LUT and specified the particular file you had, you could then apply that to the screen. It's more advanced stuff, but if you know what you're doing or you want to try it out, feel free to play around with that. As you see, I just toggle on and off various pre-made presets, and that kind of has a lot of depth of field and blur on it. And if I just load up, say, Dirt Rally, you see a kind of grayer effect. So that's pretty much the basics of creating and saving profiles. You just really need to, as I said, name them, save them, and check in that exe if they are there. So I hope that this part helps you guys out, and I'll cover some more stuff in the next part. Okay, so in this part I'm going to cover how to apply a preset from the SweetFX database, in particular ones that work with the Reshade framework and mediator. Now this particular preset that I've created is, if you just come down here and click on the download link, this will give you the link to the MediaFire page where my particular preset is. Now you'll see it's 20 megabytes. Now there's a couple of files in here that you don't actually need, but I've put them in just for kind of helping people. But you used to click on download preset when it was SweetFX, and you'd get a text file and you'd paste that in, and it was quite simple. But the way Mediator works, it seems like it's a bit different. The folder structure is kind of weird, so I'm going to kind of show you roughly how this works. So here we have my downloaded preset. I've just got a couple of duplicate files here, so I'll just get rid of these. And this is the settings text that I was testing earlier. So here's the downloaded folder, or the archive. So you want to extract this to its own kind of folder, and you'll get whatever the name of it is, but in this case it's Bopper's FIFA preset. So in here you'll see Bopper's FIFA preset, and I've included a couple of files in here, including the 64-bit DLL for FIFA, a readme text file explaining how to do this process I'm covering in this tutorial. But in here are all the different shader files that we normally see. Now these are what would be created by Mediator if you made your own preset. So as you see in here, it's just FIFA 16 inside the presets folder, and this is basically what you want to copy. Everything that you're going to need to manually install this is here. So you just copy the FIFA 16 folder in this case, and you come over to your main Reshade installation and back into the presets folder, and just simply paste it in there with the other ones that you might have created yourself, or other ones that you might have downloaded. And when you manually create one, you can see it in Mediator. So I'm going to open up the Mediator, and we're going to install it for FIFA 16 as if we're doing a fresh install. Now I've cleaned out all the files from mine, so this will be an exact what you would get yourself if you tried this. So I'm going to browse to my FIFA 16. There's the exe. I'm going to click on open. It chooses DirectX 9, but you want DirectX 10 or 11, and hit add. Now what this will do is add the files, and then if you come to the right here, you'll see our FIFA 16 presets already here for us. We don't have to manually type it in and name it, or get confused or match the name with the downloaded folder. We've just pasted it into the correct directory. So then if we hit apply a few times, you'll see there's no effects, or there's a couple of effects showing up in the pipeline, and these are the ones I specified in the file, as I didn't want to make anything too kind of crazy. So we just hit on play on FIFA, and this should load up FIFA. And basically all the effects that you specify in your outputted files, when you copy them and archive them and upload them, which I'll show how to do in the next step, this is what people will download. So you have to bear in mind that if you forget to disable certain effects, or you're testing something and you accidentally save it and then you archive it, you'll end up with the wrong files. So I'm just going to let FIFA load up here, and we'll just head into the game. Okay, just load up. And we should be able to get in the game now. I'll just go into a kind of test skill zone, or whatever it's called, practice arena. So here we are in the practice arena. Now its basic effect is toggled on. There you can see it's on now. So if I bring up Mediator, this is what you would maybe do as a user. First time, maybe you don't like something, maybe you want to add something. So we could add ambient occlusion. Now I wouldn't advise this for this game, it might be a bit too much of a performance hog, but it looks kind of nice. Ambient light looks kind of nice in FIFA 2. I was playing around with this earlier. You kind of get a solar glare, kind of lens flare on the screen. It's subtle enough, it's not too bad, but it looks kind of like a TV lens or camera lens. So once you have all those things applied, a lot of people would then, manually load back up the preset, and if you hit update thinking that you're going to update your preset and apply, and you think, oh yeah, I've added those effects, you come back and the pipeline, and suddenly they're disabled, and like people would probably click on them again thinking they made a mistake, and then hitting apply. You only want to select the preset when you're trying to manually load it for the first time. After you've loaded it in, you want to just make the changes. So here you see I'll toggle them again, I'll hit apply. Now this time I won't actually choose anything, I'll just hit update, and then if we come back to the pipeline and manually select the new updated FIFA profile, we should see them toggled on in the pipeline. So there's ambient light and ambient occlusion. So that pretty much covers the downloading of someone's preset, but it's very much specific to the fact that they're going to need to give you all the files that they made themselves with the specific edits for the game. So if you don't have those, it's very useless. So as I said, you just want to paste it into your personal files folder inside your main Reshade download, and that should allow you from there to manually manage all your presets and configure stuff as you like. So inside personal files, it should be there after you've pasted it in there, and everything you'll need is in there. And the process is exactly the same, but as I said, it's very much dependent that the person who's making the preset has it. So you can archive it yourself. Say you made one you really liked, you wanted to share with people, you'd simply just archive that folder, upload it to Mediafire or some other file sharing hosting site. Okay, so in this part I'm going to show you how to upload your own custom profile for adding to the SweetFX database website, particularly obviously using the Reshade mediator. So this is one I have for Tomb Raider. It's nothing special, it's just something I banged together very quickly for this tutorial. So basically what you're going to want to do is launch your game. In this case it's obviously Tomb Raider. So I like to launch it windowed just to make sure everything's working okay, and then I'll go full screen when I'm ready to take some screenshots. So I'll come back when the game is loaded. Okay, so the game is loading now, and we should be into the campsite save that I made, and you'll see the effect come on straight away. As you can see, it's a very blue kind of effect. It's using I think it's the Watch Dogs kind of tone map shader, so it's kind of has this bluey hint to it, but I like it for nighttime on Tomb Raider. But basically the whole thing is you want to find yourself a kind of nice location where maybe you can take a nice screenshot with some eye candy. So I'm going to go full screen, and you'll see just basically you want to find a place where you can highlight the kind of where your effect is going to be most noticed, basically. So you know, things like buildings, stones, trees are always good. So you can just take a little run around your map and find a spot that you like. Depending on the complexity of the look you're going for, it really depends on how much you want to spend on it. So if I just stay still here and I hit the print screen key, it'll take a screenshot with the effect enabled. So you see the FPS drop, and then what you want to do is turn off the shader and hit print screen again. So what that does is it takes one screenshot with the effect enabled, then you toggle off the effect and then hit print screen again, and it takes a screenshot of the effect off. And you'll see the purpose of this in a minute. So again, I'll just take another screenshot here, toggle off the effect, hit print screen again, and now we have a couple of other screenshots ready for us to upload to our profile, and I'll cover that next. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is basically export your created profile that is stored inside the Reshade folder. As we showed before, Reshade personal files into presets, and here will be Tomb Raider. Now everyone who wants to use your preset will need every file that's contained in here. This is the only way I've at least figured out how to do this. So you can add it to an archive if you want. I like to rename it, well, not delete it, idiot. So just right click, create an archive. I'm just going to rename it so that Mediafire doesn't think it's like some pirated version of the game or some crack or something. So I'll call it Bopper's Tomb Raider preset. And now basically everything that the person who wants to use your preset is going to need is inside there. So if we come to the SweetFX database website, I'll just go back to the main page. This is what you'll see when you join. You can go under latest presets and see stuff, but if you come down here to the little search box and type in Tomb Raider and look for the Tomb Raider 2013, and this will show you a list of other people's presets. As you can see, a lot of them for the older SweetFX versions. So if I click on add a preset here, this is where you basically make your preset. So I'm going to call it Tomb Raider Defined 2 because I already have one. I don't really want to make one, but it's the only way I can show you how to do the process without kind of explaining it. So you just name it, and under shader you want to choose Reshade framework. So that's way people know that it was created using the Reshade framework. Obviously you can add a lot more description to. I don't want people really using this particular one, is for the tutorial, but you can just type in some stuff here. So I'm just going to say that, you know, the information is, you know, the files that you need for downloading it, and where to get the archive and all that. You can obviously tell people, you can say what type of effects that you've enabled. If it has a strong performance hit, you can let people know that. Any other details that you think are important to share. So I'm going to say consult the README. Normally I put a README in there, but there won't be one in this, but README will help people if they're a little bit stuck, especially because Mediator, it's a different process to what people are probably used to. So you can do that if you choose. So I'm just going to leave it there at that, and just add maybe a link here to the download. So I use a Mediafire account. You can use whatever file share you want. I'm sure Dropbox might work, I'm not sure, but I use Mediafire. So basically what you want to do is load up the Mediafire and browse to basically your settings file. Now this is contained within Tomb Raider profile, and then the lazy.net, and everything you need is within here. Now this really serves no purpose as far as I can tell, but I put it in anyway in case other people have figured out a more efficient way than me, but you can probably leave it if you just want to do a single thing. So we come back to Mediafire, and we'll have to browse to our, it's actually in a different archive for me, so it's in other, this is a second instance of Mediator, but you come into your presets obviously, and you look for your archive that you can save the archive anywhere, but it's in here for me, and then you would hit upload. So once that's done, it's a particularly small file in this case, so it's very short. You can just click on share or copy link, whichever you prefer. It'll bring up this little window, and this is basically the link to your preset. So you hit on copy, and then you can come back to there, to the main Reshade website or SweetFX database website, and paste the link to all the files that people are going to need, and then you can hit save. Now once you hit save, it's made the profile or the preset link on the website, and this is basically where you add your screenshots then. So if you come in to add screenshot and then click on choose file, the first file you want to choose is obviously the effect on. So you want to browse to the directory, and this is where your screenshots that you took earlier with the print screen key will be located. You can see here the first one is with the effect on. So you want to choose enabled just so people know. You can write a description. I'm going to choose derp, and then come back to choose file, and then this is the second one. So you see the first one has the effect on, the second one has the effect off. So choose the second one for the effect off, and then you hit save. And when you hit save, what it'll do is it'll upload both your screenshots, and it'll show you a kind of comparison overlay so people can see the difference between the normal game and your particular preset. So if I move all the way to the right, you can see it's the normal game. Move all the way to the left, you see that more bluey tint coming through. You can click into the screenshot and actually get a kind of full 1080p or whatever resolution you're using kind of version of it. So you can maybe look a little closer and kind of pixel peep if you want. So I'm just going to add maybe one more screenshot here just for the sake of this. So you just come down, add screenshot, again choose file, and choose the second one here of the house, just choose enabled, derp again, and then choose the fourth one, which is obviously the house with no effect on it. So hit save, and basically that's it. You have made yourself a preset on the SweetFX database that people can look at. If they like it, they can download it. The best thing to do is give people as much help as you can. You know, write a good description, and don't do what I did there and just kind of breeze through it, but you get the idea. So people can then just click on that, download it, and follow the process that I showed you earlier.